As we await a possible imminent attack in the Middle East on Israel, contributing to the destabilization of the stock market, it rebounded a little bit today, but really not much compared to the 1,200 points approximately that it lost yesterday. It's clear that the stock market is reacting to the uncertainty of what can happen in the Middle East. But watch it also react to the uncertainty of what's happening in politics. Because Kamala Harris today chose Tim Walz, the governor from Minnesota, an ultra-leftist state, a governor who watched Minnesota burn, the major city, thanks to BLM and Antifa and the rest of the anarchists and crazy people on the left, not just crazy, but criminals. And you've got a guy here who's in favor of hormone blockers for kids so they can change their sex behind the backs of their parents. Someone who was ultra-leftist, backed by Bernie Sanders, who's a communist, an avowed communist. And what's telling is that the Democratic Party basically pushed for Walz, Minnesota, a state that Kamala Harris would have won in any event because it's so far left. Now, why did that happen? It happened because the Democratic Party has turned wildly anti-Semitic and anti-Israel, and the other candidate, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, is Jewish. And here's the irony. The guy is not even really a strong Jew because he's not supportive of Israel to any great extent. He used to be when he was younger, but he flip-flopped because he wanted to be a vice presidential candidate. And he's for a two-state solution, which he wrote about years ago, could never happen because of the lack of, I would say, ability of both the Israelis and the Palestinians to get it together. It's too many years that have passed since then with so many radical factions that there's no way that's ever going to happen. Of course, the other irony is that Gaza was the Palestinian state, and they blew it, and it still can be. After the war, once it's concluded, it could be built into a shining city on a Palestinian hill if there's a will to do it. And I would hope that other Arabic countries like Saudi Arabia and otherwise would step in and monitor what goes on there, because frankly, the Saudis don't like Hamas. They don't like terrorist interests. They've been trying to, harm the royal family for years. The other Arabs want to take over Mecca because that's the center of Islam, and also they want the oil. So there's a lot of affinity between Israel and Saudi Arabia, who at this point are generally allies, as well as potentially the United States is playing a role. But it's not going to happen if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are president and vice president. There's no respect for these people. I was watching former Prime Minister Nat'L Bennett talk, much stronger than Netanyahu. Netanyahu is waiting for Israel to be attacked. Nat'L Bennett said, well, I wouldn't wait. I would wage a preemptive strike. This war needs to be ended. It needs to be ended quickly. The best way to do it is to kill the Hamas terrorists and to kill the Hezbollah leaders and also to kill others. And I don't say that lightly, but it's a fact that these people cannot continue in existence. And of course, you've got the supreme leader in Iran who should also feel at risk. So I don't advocate killing people. I believe in peaceful and legal means, but this is a war, and someone's going to win the war and someone's going to lose. And it's got to be the side of right. It's got to be the side of people that don't make a special effort to kill kids and lop off their heads and things like that. I'm sorry that there are casualties. Everybody feels bad about that on the Palestinian side. There are good Palestinians for sure, but that's the reality of war. This is my message for today, is that I don't tell you who to vote for, but watch what happens with regard to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the governor from Minnesota. This guy is far, far left, barely scratching the surface. And President Trump would be well advised to curb his mouth, frankly. He's too vocal. He's too attacking. He doesn't need to be. He's got the issues on his side. And you don't need to be calling people criminals or this or that if you're running for the president of the United States. You can let other people do that. I don't take any action to get one candidate supported or voted in over another, but I'll be happy to call them criminals because that's what they are. The left are a bunch of criminals. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they destroy Judeo-Christian values. They are the disciple of the devil. That's my message. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. We are your real Justice Department, not the Gestapo of a Biden-Harris Justice Department that spends its time trying to put peaceful protesters in prison, while at the same time creating the conditions for someone to assassinate President Trump. I firmly believe that the Biden-Harris regime, either through malfeasance or nonfeasance, wanted Trump dead. And go to our website at freedomwatchusa.org. We have an anti-Trump assassination strike force. We will get to the bottom of it. We will try the criminals. We will seek their convictions and sentences, and we'll seek to have them thrown in prison by the American people, peacefully and legally. We will use law enforcement to do it, establish law enforcement. We've reached an end here when an administration can create the conditions to kill a political opponent. I don't care who it is, whether it's Donald Trump or Happy the Clown. This is not something that can be acceptable in a democratic republic. And this is laid right at the feet of this Democrat leftist regime of Biden and Harris. They wanted President Trump dead. That's a fact. Take it to the bank. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Until then, thank you for listening to me. And God bless America. God save America. And God save your family, your loved ones. Because unless we rise up and do something, this country will be lost. But you see the victory, the V for victory on my hat? We will prevail. We will be victorious in the end if we're unafraid and actually stick our neck out for our future, for our kids, grandchildren, and future generations, notwithstanding young people and middle-aged people today. Thank you for listening to me.